Hello dear students, today we start our topic number 2. And I'm going to discuss with you the genesis of the research and development and innovation concepts. So last time we defined the role of the economics of innovation. We tried to discuss the different approaches for these economies and which types of innovations we can meet in the industrial markets. So today we will be focused on the R&D concepts. We will discuss the process of the innovations diffusion. We will discuss the different types of consumers because the types of the innovations also may be dependent on the types of the consumers. And of course we will discuss different types of the innovation concepts. Well, so let's start. First of all, I wanted to look through this model. This is the model of the research and development process. You may find a lot of elements here, but in the central part of this model we have the cycle of the action research. And I want you to focus on the word action research, because usually we discuss the research activities, but we do not focus on the action research. What does it mean, action research, and why all the steps of this research are defined as the cycle process? So, there are 5 major elements of this cycle. We have the 3 stationary tasks. We have the co-creation of the plans. We have the integrative actions different. We have what is learned, so some kind of educational things, and of course we have impacts and reflects and effects for our research. So here that's why we have 5 areas: diagnosis and reflection, the first area; the action planning is defined as the second area; the action taking, the third area; the fourth, evaluation; and the fifth, the specifying learning. So of course we start with diagnosis because it's very close to the marketing needs also. And if you remember, during the previous lecture I told you about the 2 different strategies in innovation management: push strategy, market push strategy, and market pull strategy, technology push and market pull strategy. So here, in any case, we have to do this diagnosis and reflection because we should look around, we should understand if we exactly on the right way. Do we produce some kind of novelty? Do we make the research for the innovation, or we just look around and make some kind of other research? So actually for our story, for the economics of innovation and for the technology management, for us it's very important to identify the research story where we can produce something new. But this novelty also can be recognized in different steps, in different areas. Sometimes we can create a radical innovation, so it means that we create exactly new thing, or we may modify already existed product or service, but it also will be some kind of novelty because it will be based on the new technologies, or it may be focused on the new problem solving areas. So here in the diagnosis and reflection we have 3 stationary tasks, and inside what actually we do, we arrange discussions. What is the problem? For example, what kind of discussion we may arrange here? What is the problem exactly? How can we solve this problem? What kind of materials do we need? What kind of technologies are we going to use, and other things? That's why we also have here the reconsidering, designing, so the project design will be here during the first step. Sharing, here we start sharing our knowledge and technologies. Don't be surprised. Actually, during the first step, when we just make the market research or investigate the area and industry, we should share our knowledge. And organizing, what should we organize? Team building, for example, we should organize team, we should organize the process, maybe manufacturing process, a research process, laboratories, and we may organize also resources. If we successfully do that, we move to the co-creation of plans, move to the second step, action planning. So here we create the area for research, purpose of the team. So if we have team, we have to define all the purpose or the goals of each member, or of each elements of this team. goals and forms, agreements. Agreements we may arrange with our partners, with customers, with another research centers, why not? And binding theory. So we have to define which economic theory we will use, which technology theory we will use, and which marketing theory we will use in our project. After that, we move to the step number 3, action taking. So here we have integrative action. We start doing this research and collecting the data, manage the education and participate actively in education, develop and design our product and concept, and of course don't forget about the service and product. Yeah? So what kind of technology, what kind of service may help us to implement successfully our idea. Actually, through this step, we starting moving our invention to the innovation. Yeah, this is very important. After that, we move to the 4th stage, evaluation, impacts and effects. So we have to check all the results, all the evaluations, results of the integrative action, what's going on, what kind of problems do we have, who may help us to solve these problems, with whom we should cooperate, whom we should extract from our business, from our project, and so on. After that, we move to the next step, step number 4, the specifying learning, what is learned. So first of all, we checked what we already learned. That's why we have reporting here, the feedback from the employees, researchers, managers, reviewers. Of course, we should review our process and our knowledge. Create additional measures if it's necessary, or what kind of measures we may have. For example, marketing measures. We may have also labor measures, yeah, the effectiveness from the labor resources and creations. And after that, we should organize again the new competencies, or maybe define the new areas of education. So that's why this is the cycle, yeah, because we should repeat all these steps, and if something wrong, we move again to the diagnosis and reflection. Yeah. So that's why what kind of other factors may have impact on this R&D cycle. Of course, the cultural effects on the left, you can see here the organizational effects. So what kind of organization do we have? How do we manage all the process? In which industry we present our result and ideas? And of course on the right, so we have some things which may help us to manage this process. So linear model of innovation, for example, thematic models of the planning, cycling model of the reflection, and relevance attitude of the results. Yeah. Okay, so now let's move briefly to the history of R&D. Actually, of course, many years ago, more than 100 years ago, different companies in different industries in different developed countries, they started doing their first R&D. But actually nowadays we can identify 4 major types of the R&D. Yeah, so 4 outlooks. The first outlook, R&D as a set of activities. So we may identify our research and development process just as a set of activities. In this case, we should define what kind of activities do we have, what are they, maybe marketing activities and research, maybe technologies activities and intellectual property rights, maybe labor activities or intellectual activities and the knowledge transferring process. Yeah. So it means that if the company chooses this approach, this outlook, R&D as a set of activities, so we have to define all these activities and manage them step by step. The second outlook, when we recognize the research and development as a paradigm of innovation, it means that the innovation becomes the major goal of our business. So all our process, they focus on the innovation development. The major role in the business are played by the R&D centers or R&D departments. So these departments, these areas, they have more investment. Yeah, and we are waiting for some kind of innovative results. So it means that this business is focused on the innovative process and create the innovative product exactly. The third outlook, R&D is a counterpart for design and development. This model is called also as D+D model. And the fourth area, R&D, is a source of ideas. So in this case, actually, if you check the management system of most of the research and development companies right now, you will find that most of them, they use the third outlook and fourth outlook. That's why right now I want to explain you briefly the outlook number 3 and number 4. So what about the R&D versus D&D? So if we recognize the research and development concept as the design and development. So here you can find different examples. What's happened if we recognize our research and development as the design and development? So here the three major famous examples serve to underline the main difference between the R&D and D&D. Atomic bomb, aeroplane, and light bulb. Yeah? Let's discuss step by step each of this example. So first of all, you remember the story that the first person who developed the concept of atom bomb was Albert Einstein, but of course he had no clue about the final application. Yeah, he didn't investigate the atomic bomb, but he investigated the theory which helped later to develop the atomic bomb. So probably this is the best example of R&D invention. It means that it was invented the new approach, new theory, very important theory for the society, but unfortunately the society didn't recognize the postponed effect of this invention. Yeah? So basic research wasn't correlated with the final result, final application. The another example of the design and development concept, that the invention design of aircraft is Wright Brothers, that company. So they didn't investigate the final goal. They just tried to design the aircraft, and they didn't implement anything else. So they created the design of aircraft, but they didn't create any technologies which support the appropriate and nice design of the aircraft, you see. So it was only about the design, but it wasn't about the development. What else? The third story about the invention of the light bulb by Edison. So the idea was to make an electric based light source, yeah, bulb that can compete with the gas-based light source. So actually this third example is very close to the design and development, because it was both both concepts were presented, the design concept and the development concept. Yeah. But what is the result of this approach if we recognize the R&D as the design and development? First of all, of course, it's better to think not only about the design but also about the final application. Yeah. So another recommendation, that if we create the design of the product or design of the service, we should understand the application, the further application of this product, of this idea, and also we should think about the future development. So that's why most of the companies right now, they try not only make the research and develop some kind of design, but they provide some kind of help or instructions how to develop this technology or how to implement this technology in different areas. Yeah. So what about the last understanding of research and development, the fifth outlook of the research and development as a source of idea. Yeah. So what is the major concept? This is major concept consists of such kind of definition that each new business idea has a distinctive patterns of development from its inception origin. Yeah, so the each new business should be based on the original idea, and all the business ideas could be classified in the 12 overlapping groups. Let's discuss all the groups. And I marked the first 4 groups in the green color, because if we look through the research and development, invention and patent, design and development, D&D, which we already discussed, reverse design, so all these overlapping groups, they belong to the technology push strategy. So it means that if the company recognizes the research and development process as one of this overlapping group story, so this company uses the technology push strategy. Exactly. Yeah. I hope that you understand that research and development just focus on the research and development, invention and patent focus on the patent. So it means that the main goal of the company just create some kind of innovation which should be implemented into the patent or another form of intellectual property. Yeah? Design and development, this is the third concept which we discussed. So the design should be correlated with the future development and application. Reverse design, so it means that it's focused on the engineering, some kind of technology and physical implications, and benchmarking and competitive design. Yeah. So copying, imitation, adaptation, these are strategies of the reverse design. And also you can find here another overlapping groups of the research and development as a source of idea. For example, extensive market research to explore business opportunities, more focused on the marketing opportunities. Feedbacks from customers, so if the companies recognize research and development in these areas, it means that these companies use the market pull strategy. Yeah? And now the sources of idea, previous experience. Of course, we may use the previous experience and create not radical but incremental innovations. We may be based on the creativity. Here you can find the different methods which help us to create the ideas, to create the innovations based on the creativity. So lateral thinking, mind mapping, metaphors, brainstorming, and other Delphi method and other methods. Some of these methods usually I use in my class. Yes, so maybe we will use some of these methods also. Symbiotic ideas, combining two or more existing ideas for a new application, why not? Also some kind of resource of idea. Innovation inspired by nature, you know that in some kind of industries right now we have the recent trends. That's why we create the innovations which are inspired by nature. New regulations, for example, if there are new regulations in some kind of industries, maybe there are new industry standards, so also in this case we may create some kind of new innovations, new ideas because of the new regulations. And the last approach, when we try to get the ideas just from the Erica serendipity, so just got an idea. Sometimes it's very useful for the fast-driving economies, yeah. So if we have so many changers and always we have to produce the new ideas and create the innovations, why not? So we may use this 12th approach for our idea generation. Here I found the structural change and technology, so what actually happened during the last 2 centuries, what's happened in the economy, what's happened with the technology. Yeah? So here you can find the period, after that you can find the title of the step, of the historical steps, so what actually happened. What kind of driving innovations? In the third column you may find examples of the driving innovations, very interesting to look through. And also the last column shows us the institutional changes, so and what kind of changes were happened during that time according to the innovations. And through this model, through this table, I want you to understand that there are 2 ways concept when the driving innovations may prepare some changes, institutional changes in the society, and on the other hand, some suddenly appear changes may have strong impact on the driving innovations. Yeah, and here I can show you some examples. For example, we had the early industrial revolution, the first step of industrial revolution. Right now we live in the 4th industrial revolution, you know. And we discussed already the 5th industrial revolution, which happens soon. Mechanization of textiles, the driving innovations was there. The driving innovations were focused on the problems. Yeah, please understand, is it that when we discuss the driving innovations, even nowadays, always these driving innovations, they focus on the already existed problems. So they are very close to the necessary things which happen in the economy, in the business, in the industries. Yeah. So, and the institutional changers, they moved to the factory system. So the factory system was organized at time. What's happened right now, information age, we still live in the information age here, the last period. Of course, the driving innovations, the information and communication technologies, networks. Yeah, so institutional changes, which happened 30 years ago, almost 30 years ago, it's social networks and different organizational networks, communication networks also. So nowadays it's very important to understand the role of the diffusion of the innovations. Actually, there are so many diffusions of the innovations in the global environment because it's impossible to keep the innovations inside the company. Actually, the task for the company to produce the innovations because we want to improve our competitiveness. We do this because we want to improve our customization also. We do it for our customers, for external environment, not only for ourselves. In this case, it doesn't matter what kind of innovation do you manage, process innovation or organizational, strategic or product innovation, but all the innovations, they should be diffuse. Yeah, so they should be transformed to the different areas. And another problem which has existed in this area, how to protect this diffusion. But the major definitions of major elements of the diffusion you can find here. So the first of all, what does it mean, diffusion of innovation? This is the process by which innovations are adopted and used by the consumers. This is the task for the companies. We can't survive with the innovation which doesn't meet the needs and wants of our customers. This is about the adaptation. Yeah. So also the this innovation should be adapted not only by the customers but also by the another innovators. Why not? If we try to create some kind of cooperation between different laboratories, research agencies, research companies, and so on. So diffusion also is the rate at which innovations are adopted. It doesn't matter what kind of innovation do we have, product or process, but it takes a long time for innovation to diffuse across users, consumers. It's true. It depends on the industries, but it may take us more than 10 years, more than 20 years. It depends on the industry. And the speed at which an innovation diffuses is critical to its commercial success. So if we try to organize successful and effective diffusion of innovation as soon as possible and protect this process, so we may be more successful with our commercialization process. It's also the true thing. Please think a little bit about the role of the diffusion of innovation for the commercialization process, and we will discuss this point of view later in the classroom. So here the graph of the diffusion. This graph also is called as the S-curve because this is like the letter S here. So there are actually 4 different types, even 5 different types of the innovators. Yeah. So innovators themselves, early adapters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. These 5 groups of innovators, they also could be recognized as the customers or user groups on the left, you see. So that's why here on the left you can find the percentage of the customer or user groups. Who are the users of this innovation? On the right hand you can see the time. What's happened when you start diffusion of your innovation? So here, unfortunately, we have only a few percentage of the users in the beginning because we just start the diffusion of our ideas. We create ideas about the innovation and we are innovators. After that, when we start our diffusion, we make the collaboration with different agencies, maybe universities. We start transferring our idea and design concept to the early adapters. Yeah, so and the percentage of our final users rising because we extend our customers area, yeah, step by step. After that, if we successfully moved our invention to the innovation, so implement the invention into the manufacturing process, we move to the early majority stage. And the major percentage of our users, they are early majority and late majority. What is the difference? Early majority who just taste our product for the first time. It can be the companies in the market which are interested in such kind of product. And our task to maximum satisfy their needs, because if they like our product, early majority companies, they will make the advertisement, or they will advertise our product to the late majority group of the users, you see, and we can increase the impact of our innovation. And after that, our task to move to the laggards. Laggards only 10%, but laggards, these are the companies or users who are ready to use this product during the long-term period. Our task, be in touch with these laggards and try to keep with them as long as we can. Yeah? So here on this maximum point, our task to be here with our innovation. In this case, we can increase our sales of the product, we can transfer our innovations, so we can arrange the intellectual property rights and do all the things. Yeah. So here are just some examples which I found about the diffusion. So this is the different S-curves examples of different products. On the left again you have the number of users. Here we have some examples of the time period and the examples of the products. Facebook, the blue line, blue S-curve, this is the Facebook. You see how fast they move from the early adapters to the laggards, because at the same time they implement also the special device, iPhone, and it becomes more convenient to use the Facebook from this device. Yeah. So what else? MySpace, another social network, also start rising because they start implementing the specific mobile applications. And actually this graph shows, my dear colleagues, that on the diffusion process, the technologies have the strong impact also. Yeah, so it depends nowadays. In major cases, it depends on the technologies, how you will be successful with the commercialization, what kind of technology do you use, what kind of device, with whom you want to arrange the partnership, and so on. Yeah. Another example here, the various innovations tell us that consumption spreads faster today. Here the blue line, for example, this is the computer store. Yeah, of course, very fast, because most of the industries, they depend on the computer store right now. Internet, also very fast. Dishwasher, very interesting, the slowly, but becomes more popular also, maybe because the households, they spend more time on their work and life balance. Yes, so that's why they ask for such kind of innovations. Car TV, yeah, you see. So also very interesting. Recognize that sometimes technology impact on the diffusion of innovations, and of course the life standards also may have the impact on the diffusion of innovations, the customization aspect. So many things may have impact on the diffusion. This is another question, my dear colleagues. I will submit here the question mark, and don't forget to answer the question, which factors affect the diffusion of the innovations in different industries. So make your own examples, please, and we will discuss them. So here are the another drivers. These drivers may help you to answer the previous question. So in total we have 6 different drivers of the diffusion of innovations. Rank approach, you can read about this approach. Stock approach, order approach. I will not talk too much about these approaches because it's easy to understand all of them. I just want to be focused on the marketing approach and academic approach. My dear colleagues, right now you know that we have this story with the coronavirus across all of the world. And this is the example of the academic approach, because the diffusion of innovation spreads across the population like a disease based upon information acquisition and contact. Right now, what may happen? You know that most of the industries, they suffer from the coronavirus this time. And more companies, they develop very fast right now new online technologies. This is the academic approach. Why not? This is the diffusion of innovations. This is the good example. What about the demand for innovation? What are the drivers for this demand? So actually there are 2 major approaches. The first approach, marketing. The second approach, the economics. They're very close. The role of the marketing, just information acquisition approach. So the marketing, the demand for innovation is focused on the marketing issues. We do the market research, we investigate what's happening in the market, and we create this demand for innovation. Economics, consumer preferences. We investigate the consumer preferences. We try to do the forecast for the future consumer trends and preferences. And also we follow the demand for the innovation. Here you can find the different types of the consumer, and also you should recognize the consumer behavior models. So my dear students, this is the task for you. Please try to find the definitions for all of these consumer behavior models. I will give you only few definitions about, for example, industrial buying model. So industrial buying model belongs to more to B2B market when we discuss the consumption of the companies. And these companies, they focus on the industrial standards, they use the industrial buying model because they follow the industrial standards. Psychological model belongs to the B2C segment when we discuss the individuals in the market, and according to the individual's psychological attitudes and behavioral style, we can follow the consumer behavior models. And on the left, you can find the 6 types of the consumer according to the economics of innovations. Actually, these 6 types of the consumer are could be met in the economics of innovation. Let's discuss all these types step by step. So the first type, economic consumer. So here you can find the definition. Who is this person actually? This person usually has the fixed, predetermined wants, and he knows this wants in detail. So it's easy to ask him, what do you want? And he will reply exactly. Optimizer, so a skilled optimizer, usually consumes in private. This is the individual attribute of this person. Interested in innovations that reduce price or increase a sought after feature of the good. So if you read to these definitions, you will easily understand the economic consumer. Who else? Veblen consumer. Desires distinction for visible consumption of expensive items. Usually similar, but seeks distinction with more modest expenditure. So more innovative consumer, this Veblen consumer. Martial consumer. Who is this person? Are interested to explore what innovations can do for them. So they're waiting for some kind of results, but they are not uncritical in their consumption of innovations. So you may persuade them to buy your product, but you should show exactly what do they want and what do these innovations can do for them. Douglas consumer. Who is this person? So this person may be cautious about the consumer innovations that might seem to cause doubt on their peer group loyalty. So they belong to the group. They try to create this group loyalty, and they will be ready for any kind of discounts or imaginative ways to confirm group loyalty. Who else? Corporate consumer. Mass market and advertising. They prefer mass market and advertising. I think that it's not difficult to manage them with innovations, and they need encouragement from marketers to give innovations a try. So maybe these corporate consumer, they're very good early adopters. So for them you can push your technology or service into the market. And one more interesting consumer, routine consumer. So just sticks to familiar consumption items, doesn't optimize, not influenced by advertising, doesn't seek distinction, doesn't seek novelty. I think that the routine consumer is the most difficult to be managed by the innovations. But also we should understand that such kind of guy may exist in the market, and we should manage him also. And the final, ethical consumer. So there are 2 different types inside this group, green consumer and Ruskin consumer. So, and here I submit 2 questions, my dear colleagues. Please think about what are the types of consumers do you know, and which types are very important for innovative economy. Believe me that you may find more than 10 other types of the consumers, and please define which types are very important for the economy of innovations. And the last one for today, so we already discussed the different types of users and adapters for the innovations, and these groups of users and consumers are very important for the economics of innovations. But I want to finish with the different types of consumers and product life cycle. So you know that we have different types of customers. On the left we have the sales volume, on the bottom we have the time. And here we have 5 steps of the product's life cycle. Yeah, it doesn't matter what kind of product you develop right now, but all the products, all the services, they pass through these 5 steps. These steps are development, introduction, growth, maturity, decline. And this S-curve shows us what's happening with the sales if we produce the innovative product. Yeah. So development, we do not have any sales. That's why here we have the 0 point. But we have to match our customers. We have to find who are the customers, which types of consumers are very effective for our product. After that, we start the introduction for early adopters. Yeah, so a little bit rising sales. The increasing sales during the growth for the late adopters. Yeah, if we successfully advertise our product and innovation maturity. The best step here, of course, because we have the maximum of the sales here. This is our task for our company to keep with the maturity and prevent the decline stage. And my dear colleagues, please think about the problem which may turn our product, our innovation to the decline stage. What's happened here? Why we move from the maturity from our success to the decline? And believe me that all kinds of products, all types of services, sometimes they move from the maturity to the decline. So this is the question, how to prevent this decline step, what are the reasons, what are the circumstances of this decline step, and how do different innovations may help us to keep the customers, the different consumers with us during the long-term period. That's all for today. Thanks a lot for active listening. I wish you a good day and see you in class. Bye bye.